Okay, so next Tuesday, we're going to start exercise 2 since we got through exercise 1 last week. Great job, everyone, by the way, getting through that exercise. Okay, so for exercise 2, we're actually going to be using multiple data sets from the CDC. They're all posted to the CDC website, but I've also put them on Cougar Courses, so you'll be able to download them onto your computer from Cougar Courses. And then what you do need to do, and I encourage you to do this before class, is go to the CDC website. Let me just click on that, and then I'm going to share my browser so you can see what that link looks like. Okay, so that link will bring you to this page. So this is the page for the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, or NHANES. It's like a serial cross-section of the general US population that is done annually. And it's just a really, really rich source of information. The survey sampling methods are complex. So there's actually specific techniques that we would typically use to analyze complex survey data like this, but we won't do that in this class. It's sort of like, it's actually, you can take an entire class just, on the analysis of complex survey data. So for the purposes of this class, we're just going to treat it like, a regular random sample. But I wanted to point you to the code book for the different data sets. So one of the data sets that we're using is the demographics data. So on this page, we can click on the demographics data. And then if you click on this, you actually will see the variable list in the data set, which is helpful. But the code book is going to be a lot more helpful, and that's what you're going to want. So you're going to go here to this doc file. Okay, and on the right-hand side, you can see here, there's information about the interview, about the sample, and how the data were managed and processed, which is all very important, I think, if you're a researcher and you're really relying on these data, let's say for a publication. But this is what's going to be helpful for us. It's the code book, and that's another word for the data dictionary. And remember, the data dictionary has all of the variables that are in a particular data set, and then typically it will also describe the variables, how they're categorized, the range of values for the variable, if it's a quantitative variable, and then usually a description of the variable itself. So let's look at what that looks like. So this is the code book for the demographics file. And then you can see here, this is the respondent sequence number, and this is actually the unique ID for each respondent in the survey. So, each respondent will have their own unique sequence number. And that's how we would identify them. And that's actually how we're going to merge our different data sets, is based on this ID number. Okay, so the cool thing is you can kind of see the different variables that are in the data set, and then it gives you a nice description of it. So for example, this variable has a label gender, and then it is telling us that the value of 1 corresponds to men and the value of 2 corresponds to women. And then it even gives you like a descriptive summary of the variable. So like the count in each category. And then this is just the cumulative count. So, 4,892 men. And then if you were to add the 5,079 women to this value, this gives you the total number of individuals with a known value. And then it just so happens that, so missing is saved as a dot. And there are actually 0 respondents with a missing value for this variable. Okay, so if we're just scrolling down a bit more, you can see, and then here they have like the race variable, and then again, it has the code for each category. Or I'm sorry, this is ethnicity. This is looking at Hispanic origin. And this is just the code for each variable. Okay, so I encourage you to download those data sets and see if you can import them into R. If you can't, that's okay. We're going to go over that on Tuesday and then merge the data sets together. But one thing I highly, highly encourage you to do is at least sort of glance over at the code books for the different data sets that we will be using, so you have an understanding of some of the variables that we're going to be working with.